Just had a very interesting day of going to the movies today, and I was inspired to talk about sex and Jesus. Sex and Jesus because of the movies that I saw today, which were The Testament of Anne Lee and Dracula. So, spoiler alert, go ahead and see those movies and come back and watch this later, because I'm probably going to talk about things that happen in the movies. The Dracula story is basically the Bram Stoker's Dracula story. I think it's a better movie than ones we've seen before on that story, but um, so it's not that much of a spoiler because you've seen stuff before. But although it does get a lot deeper, the movie gets a lot deeper into his romance and love relationship. So, um, and is a lot sexier than previous um, Dracula movies, I would say. Well, I don't know about many of them, but again, that one that became such a standard for our modern times, it's not really that sexy. So anyway, um, and this one is pretty good. But the Dracula principle is that because he's, or the story behind this version of Dracula is that because he's lost his love, he's cursed God and becomes cursed himself through his violence and sacrilege. So becomes a vampire. So there's enough to be said about Jesus and sex and vampires. There's enough to talk about on its own. But I happened to see Dracula as a secret movie because we didn't know what we were going to go see. We went to the secret movie. Turns out to be Dracula. So um, I had previously seen earlier in the day. I saw The Testament of Anne Lee, which is also about sex and Jesus, but different than Dracula. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and spoil Testament of Anne Lee. There's nobody watching it right now, so just so you know, for people who are watching this in the future when you can pause it. Um, Anne Lee basically advocates celibacy. Um, she's the founder of a Shaker religion that came to America and practiced celibacy. No sex. Now, in some ways, it's the opposite of the Dracula vampire story, where it's all about sex, or it's all about love and physical love and being with your physical love. That's Dracula's whole motivation. Anne Lee's is kind of the opposite. She has a husband that she will no longer have sex with after she has her conversion. And of course, Dracula's not having sex with his lover. Doesn't really get into whether or not he's having sex with all these other women, but that's who he's looking for. That's what he's after. He's after his lover. So, and then Anne Lee's like a nun. I mean, she's not, but she's like married to God or married to Jesus, something like that. She's also Jesus embodied. She's also an embodiment of Jesus. So it's interesting. It's interesting how people joke about, oh, hello, Vendetta. Nice to see you. People joke about vampires or about Jesus being a vampire or Jesus being undead like a vampire. And um, Anne Lee claims to be like the reincarnation of Jesus, the second coming of Jesus, um, in a female body, which struck a chord with me because I was always from a young age thinking, oh, well, this second coming of Jesus would probably be a woman, wouldn't it? Just seemed natural. But the celibacy doesn't seem natural. It seems like it's always a mistake. So, Ann Lee reminds me of the public universal friend. Everyone's making fun until they put the fun back in fundamentalism, which isn't really a thing, I don't think. I don't think there's a fun in fundamentalism. Are there churches of Judas in America? Just this one. I mean, like, you're in the Church of Judas now. So, and thanks for bringing me around to the focus of the topic. The Church of Judas is what replaces all the other churches. It replaces patriarchy Christianity. And Jesus set this up to be this way. I can explain it, but that's what the Church of Judas does. And one way you know it is that Jesus is from the goddess, not God. Another way you know it is Jesus is pro-sex. He's not anti-sex. And that gets back to the topic of this discussion. Because I saw the movie The Testament of Ann Lee today, and because her whole contribution or her radical development of Christianity is complete celibacy for everyone, for every believer in her community. And it reminds me of the public universal friend. And she has visions that seem, verified. She has like visions and divine communication. It seems like, okay, so she's verifiably having divine communication. She's verifiably being given information from God or the goddess. She's being given information from some divine being. And at the same time, she's led to conclude, or her personal conclusion is to be celibate and for everyone to be celibate, which to me is just a mistake, and it's not really of Jesus. Well, and I feel like certain of that because of what I know about the Church of Judas replacing patriarchy Christianity. That's one of the things it replaces, is the sex shame of patriarchy Christianity. But Ann Lee, who brought this shaker, this celibate shaker strain to America, and Public Universal Friend, another religious leader in America, both had celibate communities, which, then after a period of time no longer existed. So they didn't spread by converting everyone else or enough other people to their celibacy in an increasing rate to continue to be communities. This happened to the Public Universal Friend too, whose conclusion was celibacy, which to me is part of the evidence of why this is an erroneous conclusion. Is any communities that form around this idea cease to exist. But there's a lot of reasons why it's an erroneous conclusion. Good evening. Good night. Yeah, so I was talking about the two movies I saw today. I saw Dracula and I saw Testament of Ann Lee. And I was talking about how people who have religious experiences, Christian religious mystics who believe in sex versus those who do not believe in sex. And the ones to me who do not believe in sex, I'm not discounting their mystical experience. I'm just saying they come back with that wrong information of not believing in sex. Oh, nice to see you. Oh yeah, you have the same name as before. Nice to see you again. So I was comparing Dracula and Ann Lee. In some ways, Dracula, is feeding off of the population to make other vampires. Ann Lee is siphoning off the population to make more celibate Jesus worshippers. There's interesting parallels in these two movies that I wouldn't have seen if I hadn't seen these two movies today. I wouldn't have thought about comparing them in this way, most likely, if I didn't happen to see both movies today. Okay, here's a comment from Tadward. What? Here's a comment from someone who says, "Are we over here belittling everyone's intelligence? Number 3. Number 3? You just called somebody number 3? Sex does exist. It's not a matter of believing in it." I mean, no one was questioning its existence except, I guess, yeah, some people are questioning its existence. Some people are questioning its validity or its goodness, which is, um, in this context, where various Christian traditions, in my opinion, go wrong. So, to me, you've got all these churches that are fundamentally wrong, like to begin with. Churches wrong. And so, one thing that happens is better churches or different churches spring out of those churches and then spring out of those churches and spring out of those churches, trying to evolve to be something good out of something bad and wrong. And that's good development. It's just that one of the core things of the bad and wrong church to begin with is being anti sex. So even when people have divine inspiration that causes them to start a new, offshoot, radically different church, they still end up being anti sex. Not all the time, but sometimes, such as Ann Lee of the Shakers, whose movie I saw today, or the Public Universal Friend, who I heard about on the radio a year or two ago, a few years back. Hello, nice to see you again, Yeet. Now, the opposite of that is Dracula, because I also saw the Dracula movie today. And Dracula's all about sex. Like, he's going to have sex, and he's going to find his love. Oh, snap, a little lamb. I saw you in Tombstone. There's a little lamb? Oh, that's interesting. You guys went to the same streams. What? Tedward? I'm not seeing these people's names. Oh, Tedward is that guy's name. Okay, I did see that guy's comment. So it was an interesting comparison between Ann Lee and Dracula. Ann Lee's, of course, a real person, real historical figure. Dracula, well, I don't know. But anyway, it was interesting to think about these sides of sex and love and death. And to me, it's like, sex is on the good side of these things. Having so much of Christianity developed in opposition to sex, it's just proof of what's wrong about it, or it shows that the key to fixing it is fixing that part of it. Fixing what they call original sin. That was illustrated pretty simply in the Ann Lee movie when she has a vision and she's like, I saw plainly Adam and Eve getting kicked out of the garden for their carnal lust. I mean, not for eating a fruit, but for their carnal lust. Which, to me, you can say, oh, this is a metaphor for, or something. But at some point, you have to decide. And you have to decide why people accept an interpretation to such a degree that this lady has a mystical, provoked by all sorts of extreme circumstances. She has a mystical, divine experience and vision. And yet, it still confirms her, bias from her culture. Which, I guess that's just the truth about mystical visions, is they can be so mystical, and then you can still come back to, or still reframe your original bias that you went into it with. Now, think about how that compares with Dracula. And it's interesting. It's like Dracula's claiming that he's doing these killings, as a prince in his wars, that he's killing for Jesus. And then he ends up breaking this taboo and getting cursed, / this immortality. It's interesting thinking about how that's an analogy for anyone who kind of rises above others as some sort of leader or some sort of and it's rising above others is kind of weird to say, but it's like Anne Lee. There's these other characters in her life story, but they're all calling her mother, and she's, their authority, and she becomes the person who the movie is about. It's not. It's it includes the other people. They're side characters, and Dracula is, of course, a ultimate main character in a lot of ways because he lives through other people's lifetimes, and other people are side characters in an even more extreme sense than people with only one lifetime. I don't know. I guess I'd like to run into a main character. I'll put it that way. Um, yeah, I'll put it that way. I'd like to run into a main character. It seems like almost impossible in a way. It seems like, I mean, not impossible, just maybe that's my the magic that I'm doing taking up all the space. Yeah, I'm good. Are you good? I was reflecting on Jesus and sex and how these religious leaders who have a personal experience with Jesus enough to transform the way they see the world and even transform the world still don't get over like sex shame and feeling like Jesus is against sex, which isn't true. And so anyway, I'm thinking about this because of the Testament of Anne Lee and the Dracula movies that I saw today. Dracula was really good. They're both really good movies. Um, Dracula was really good for being about sex and sexuality. But, I mean, spoiler alert, it ultimately wasn't that sex positive. I don't know. I guess in some ways it was. It depends on how you see it, I guess. But Jesus is. So, one way you know the difference between the Antichrist, fake Jesus, that allows for Trumpism and stuff, all the evil, is that it's anti sex. I mean, it's because of sex shame that these people end up doing all this sick shit that they wouldn't want you to know about, you know? Like, I'm not saying everybody should be open about their sex life, but there's plenty of times you could have the type of sex that you wouldn't mind somebody knowing about. You would even be glad to tell somebody about it. And not everybody's like that, but the fact that it shouldn't be something that people are ashamed of in general, and then what people do isn't something to be ashamed of. I'm sure there's certain Christian communities throughout history that have not been so prudish and anti-sex. But I mean, when I'm sitting here thinking, well, who were they? Who springs to mind? Nobody really springs to mind. I mean, hippies, I guess. To the extent that hippies are Christian, or there's some crossover between hippies and Christianity. I mean, there's lots of hippies. But, I don't know. Let me know in chat if I'm not thinking of somebody. I mean, there's like twisted ways you can say this group or this group, but I mean, not really. So, one of the things about the Church of Judas replacing Christianity is sex positivity, because it's not like you have, for all the hundreds and thousands of different churches you have, it's not like you have one that's been like, well, we're trying out sex, seeing how that goes. Hello, thanks for being here. Like, these Shakers, because they, especially in her community, they didn't have sex at all. But even before they got that way, even before she added the complete celibacy to their religious tradition, they're all shaken. They're all like having these physical forms of ecstasy that are not sex. And it's interesting and stuff. It's like why people dance, It's like why dancing is so popular too. I mean, there's lots of reasons dancing is popular, but that's an underlying reason why dancing is so popular. Anyway, it made me feel bad for Christians and everyone. It made me feel bad for everybody and them. Like, one of her whole things was, she can be a woman and preacher. And that was radical at the times or in those communities. But just like the Public Universal Friend, who kind of became beyond gender. Hello, Turtle Duck. Public Universal Friend was kicked out of the Quaker community, which is similar to the Shakers. Like, when she was a girl, her brothers were kicked out of the Quaker community too, because they were going to fight in the Civil War. And the Quakers were completely peaceful, pacifist. So they were kicked out because they were going to join the Union Army. Then I think they said her sister was kicked out of the community because she was not going to get married or something. Or going to marry, I don't know, something about marriage. And then she was kicked out, but they don't know why. As far as I remember. But then they transitioned into the Public Universal Friend, who was beyond gender, and they were a preacher. Now, at the time, women weren't preachers. So it makes me wonder if part of their transition to being beyond gender was in order to preach. Now, Ann Lee had been persecuted for preaching as a woman. And so you can see how, with that in the consciousness, people would say, oh, well, I have to be something besides a woman to preach too. But I mean, it's probably just her identity, just their identity. But then when they become the Public Universal Friend, they seem to be, I mean, to me, to be beyond gender is, a Christ-like inspiration. But then to be ashamed of sex or to have an anti-sex attitude is not Christ-like. That's not Jesus. It's not love. So it makes me wonder how, well, not wonder, but it makes me think about how Ann Lee and Public Universal Friend both made radical, revolutionary offshoots of Christianity. But, the doom of both of their religions, or part of it anyway, was that they didn't have any sex. They didn't have any kids. The community could not naturally, organically grow. Is that the damn Union Jack? Didn't you guys wipe your ass with the Union? Didn't you guys wipe Putin's ass with the Union Jack? Isn't that what you did? Didn't you wipe Putin's ass with your flag because you voted for Brexit like Putin wanted you to do? Bunch of little Putin puppies. So anyway, Church of Judas replaces all patriarchy, Christianity, war, and Trumpism. Church of Judas is pro-sex. Christianity, not so much, / anti-sex. It's one of the reasons it gets replaced. The patriarchy that made it anti-sex is what gets replaced. And I mean, I guess I wanted to talk this out. I was hoping to get feedback from, again, a main character. Hello, if there's a main character out there, please access the live. But I guess I had it pretty much figured out on my own. I had it pretty much figured out the way I thought. Like, yeah, people can have divine inspiration, but then they still settle back into some of the ruins of who they used to be. Allies? Who are we talking about? Oh, you're the person who made all those comments. That's so odd. All right, so we replace Antichrist Trump. We end Antichrist Trump with Jesus and the truth and love. Hello. And Trump being anti-sex, Trump is not for like sex, like lovemaking, sex, romance, any of that stuff. Trump is just a rapist. So Trump being anti-sex, and he's against you having sex. Trump being anti-sex is part of what's Antichrist, about conservatism, Trump, all his minions, all that stuff. Being pro-sex, being pro-love is what Jesus is about, and one of the ways he's the opposite of Trump. And I guess Jesus just knew that our patriarchy and anti-sex culture is going to be so strong and take so long to get rid of that, it's going to be about 2,000 year gestation period. Yeah, Trump is anti-sex. You're going to want to say that Trump is pro-sex? How would you describe Trump as pro-sex? Pro-sex trafficking, but that's not really pro-sex. Think about it. How is Trump? Let's talk about how Trump is pro-sex or anti-sex. I'm going to go ahead and claim, I'm going to go out on a limb, say Trump is anti-sex, because patriarchy is anti-sex. Fascism is anti-sex. Trump is those things. But explain to me how Trump is pro-sex in your view. I just felt like someone was trying to challenge the premise here. It's like, well, at least you're engaging with the content. Never mind. I shouldn't give people too much credit. We're looking for a main character to come across the live to appear in the chat. Yeah, I don't understand. It's like bots talking to each other like, we're finishing each other's sentences. We are finishing each other's sentences. We are two chatbots. So I'm sorry. I don't mean to call you guys chatbots. I just don't understand I don't understand what your contributions were attempting to be. No, just like a main character, as opposed to an NPC like all the trolls in chat. Yeah. Beep boop beep boop, all these stupid Nazi trolls. I get a lot of stupid Nazi trolls in chat. Silent Night. Why does your channel activity that you've been on YouTube for 8 years and you have 69 subscribers, what does that mean? Like, why are people, like, that's what I'm saying. If there was a main character that was somebody who was worth, like, conversing with, that'd be great. In the meantime, if you guys want to chatter and rage bait and whatever, if you guys want to be little trolls or whatever, just troll faster or something. Just leave emojis. Like, you're not succeeding in communicating, I don't think. I'm supposed to be the main character. That's what I'm saying. It would be interesting if another main character came by instead of just, sometimes other people that have some level of interest arrive. Who are you? See, this is what's so uninteresting about people. When they say, we're watching you, and then my natural question is, who are you? They won't respond who they are. Like, they'll never say, it's so beneath, like, anything. Yeah. I mean, I pretty much stopped talking because, it's like, what's the point? Like, hello. Nice to meet you, JC. Okay, here we go. Now we have the point. The point is we can talk to JC. That'll be okay. So I saw Dracula and The Testament of Anne Lee today. They were both fantastic movies. They both had something to do with Jesus and sex. But I guess I kind of more agree with the Dracula side. And I also believe that Jesus is pro-sex, and that being anti-sex, even though you have divine visions and you're being led in some way, this doesn't seem divine enough, I'll put it that way. Yeah, why? Didn't see them. I'm having an interesting translation thing happen. Didn't see them. Can't comment on it. Oh, you didn't see him. Well, everybody knows the story of Dracula. I mean, if you don't know the story of Dracula, we can go over it. But I don't want to spoil the movie. It's a really good movie. Check out Dracula. And in some ways, it's the same theme. It's like Dracula is cursed because he cares more about his love, his sexual partner, his lover, than anything, really. That's kind of how Dracula gets cursed in the first place, and why he's like such a sexy villain, for all of his long life. Anne Lee is a historical figure. She's a real person, or like definitely a real person, and she turns against sex. She's like, yeah, was it his wife? Okay. She preaches complete celibacy for everyone. And she's like supposed to be holy, or she decides that, the bad things that happen to her are the results of having sex. Something like that. I mean, it's a pretty typical Christian bullshit belief that fucks people up a lot. And yet she does have divine visions and stuff. I guess it goes to show anybody can have divine visions. Yeah, actually talking about the character of the movie The Testament of Anne Lee, who's a real person. Unlike yourself, your name's Ursula Sue. Like, really? You're trolling as an Ursula Sue? You decided, oh, what should I do? What should I go with today as I troll the internet? Ursula Sue. Like, really? And you're complaining about me talking about Dracula and Ann Lee, Jesus and Sex. Let's look at Ursula Sue. Joined 4 years ago and has 10 subscribers. You've been doing a lot. You're getting monkeys because you're talking bananas. But you can't spell your. Yeah, again, it doesn't have to be a main character. Just somebody who can speak English. Somebody who can speak English, who's not fucking piece of shit troll, like not even good at trolling. Can someone who's not good at trolling show up in the live, please? Net and YouTube. Oh my gosh, I'll just wait. So stupid. Sue is not a cool name, dude. Her name is Ursula Sue. What the fuck? That's not a good name. Nobody's an ICE agent. I don't know. Maybe they're asking somebody in the chat. Oh my gosh. Sorry if people were so boring. We're just gonna wait for somebody more interesting to show up. Oh wait, Mr. JC is here. She's talking about Dracula. He's fictional. Do you know the true story of Vlad the Impaler? I mean, I think they covered a little bit of this 1400 Dracula, original Dracula, before he becomes a vampire. That's what they did in the movie today. Look at you with zero content. Exactly. Weren't we just talking about how you had zero content? I don't know. These are just bots, dude. Like, bots are so fucking boring. Hello, Eva. Wait, who's Trevor? Is there a Trevor? Okay. Sorry, everybody. We're going to get more interesting people in the chat. If you just want to, like, drop emojis or something until more interesting people show up. We were talking about Dracula, sex, Jesus, and Ann Lee, the public universal friend. And Saint Teresa Urea. I guess I should mention Saint Teresa Urea. She's the saint of the Mexican Revolution. That's Sorry, Mr. JC. I don't want to call them people. Okay. Yeah, you want to go ahead and type your comments so I can read the comments. Emojis work too. I guess I'll get the candles going. I've got Mother Cabrini here for patron saint of immigrants. That makes everything better. Immigrants make everything better. monad in union. You need watering or you will atrophy. Is that a euphemism for sex? You need sex or you will atrophy. I mean, better things are always coming. It will get better. Better things aren't necessarily coming to the live because it might be over. We might be done. I mean, I always enjoy talking about vampires and sex and Jesus and weird religious things. But, I can think about them to myself by myself, you know? In fact, that's what I was doing. I was like, oh, I might as well talk about this on a live. I was like, no, I guess you might as well not, because even though I self-censored, maybe I shouldn't have self-censored the title. I self-censored a little bit for the title because I was like, oh, YouTube won't let anybody see this. Well, YouTube won't let anybody see it anyway. I mean, not really. Not really. What's your least like vampire you can use Twilight? Yeah. Somebody will probably come to mind later. I don't generally think like that. I mean, Dick Cheney. Yeah, he's not really a vampire. He just sucks. But he's dead. At least he's dead. I don't know. I don't really have a favorite vampire either. Do you have a favorite vampire or least favorite vampire? I'm not even like I mean, I really like this vampire, the Dracula in Dracula, but the one I liked more was the one named Maria. She was just pretty hot. Yeah, I'm trying to think if any vampires stand out. I mean, David Bowie's cool, but he's not like my favorite vampire. Bunnicula. Yeah. Makes you think, isn't the vampire they write a book about the vampire that gets caught? If I have to give advice, what would it be? Who am I giving the advice to and what's it about? What do you need advice about? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind because of this live is like have sex. Like don't allow anti-sex corruption to ruin your mind and your life. Don't allow patriarchy to ruin your life. What? What's all this stuff about male and female? It's interesting. Somebody bothered to type if you had to give advice, but then they don't have anything they want advice about. It's kind of sad. I listen to the radio, and on the radio they have this thing where they'll, like, the stations like to advertise and like brag about the fact that they're paying somebody to sit in a booth instead of having a robot or AI or something select their songs. They're really proud of it. See how hard it is to pick a vampire that you like? Choice for outcome defeats the purpose. It's about the journey. Isn't it hard to think about what kind of... Hold on, we're gonna put the candle back down because I just want to be extra lazy. I think I even want to lay down. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is an example from Peter. Union with Taurus will make you a morning star through exaltation. Same as Jesus exalted Lucifer to become a morning star. Union with Taurus. What life changes a lot. If you're lucky, you get to do lots of different things. Okay, this is going to be better. Oh yeah, we're only live for a few more minutes, so... I usually make a lot of highlights of the lives. I'll do a live performance of my most recent joke. Just because my hand appears to be in this cookie jar does not... What's the word? Does not constitute or imply criminal activity. Just because my hand's in this cookie jar does not... Oh, I can't remember the word. Does not something or imply criminal activity. I'm going to do my other joke for you. I want to stress here that just appearing to be caught red-handed does not imply criminal activity. Oh, thanks. Yeah, see you later. Yeah, we'll be live for a few more minutes. Yeah, what was your thing about Union and Taurus? Yeah, we were just gonna be live for a few more minutes, so this is your chance. I was probably just gonna go to sleep shortly. Who are you people, though? Hmm. I'll probably go to sleep. Yeah, it doesn't seem like I'm gonna miss anybody. It's just not one of those nights. No main characters online scrolling around. I scroll around sometimes. Sorry, wall socket. It's a bunch of fucking Trump Nazis in the chat. They're just pathetic losers. They're here all the time. That's why it's kind of like, I wanted to talk about Jesus and sex and stuff, but aw, thanks, Shadow. You want to talk for a second? I'll perk up now that you're here. I'm just sick of the stupid trolls. I just wanted to say thank you to being a voice of reason in horrible times. Thank you for being a voice of reason in horrible times. Yeah, of course. We're gonna end these horrible times. We're gonna end the bad guys. So we're gonna win. Bad guys are gonna lose. I'll tell you a joke. Just because my hand appears in this cookie jar, it's not an implication of criminal activity. Fuck you. Okay, so you made a mistake. Foscale. Fuascailt. Is that it? You made a mistake, okay? With your channel activity of joined 3 years ago and you got 7 subscribers. You made a mistake speaking up at this time. Yeah, little bitch. You made a mistake. Okay. K Smith KSMYTHE781. You made a mistake too. I'm gonna cursing you both, you motherfuckers. I'm gonna cursing you and I'm cursing your families. I'm cursing your Trump and Putin and Netanyahu through you. What are you in Britain? Cursing Trump and Putin and Netanyahu through you. So Fuck off. Yeah, fuck off. K Smith 781 joined 4 years ago and you have 0 subscribers. Like, just boring ass trolls who never fucking did anything. It's like talking to fucking flies. If you talk to flies, people would think you were fucking crazy. I mean, it's different when there's nobody here. You just talk to people in the field. But, like, talking to fucking flies. Thanks, I got it from Cinemark Movie Club. Yeah, dude, I mean, bots are completely worthless. Bots and Trumputiners, which are indistinguishable creatures, are completely worthless. Like, I guess every now and then you can make a joke about how stupid they are or something. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I guess it's worth going to sleep. Fuck them. This was probably the most boring live I've ever done. But it's okay, it's over now. Oh, thanks. Aren't you the loser, though? Or did you report the guy for having that Nazi name? That's well done. I thought you were saying you reported me because I got these stupid Nazis. Oh, no, you are one of those stupid Nazis. I should have known. Because didn't we look at your channel? Yeah, you joined 4 years ago. You got 0 subscribers. Another dumbass Nazi. Sorry about the dumbass Nazis in chat. Completely worthless except to remind you, oh yeah, you should go to sleep. And not talk to dumbass Nazis. Trumputiners. Trumputiners the worst.